Cheers. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's Thursday evening, 8 o'clock. Welcome to the Mike Brewer live show. Thank you very much for joining in. I can see people joining in already on the right-hand side. It's a brilliant thing, this. I love Thursday nights. I love 8 o'clock. I'm looking forward to it every week. We've had so many amazing guests on this show, but tonight I'm bringing on not only a guest, he's a very, very close friend of mine. We've known each other for over 20 years. He is a legend in his own lunchtime. He's a walking legend. He's absolutely fantastic. I was thinking about him the other day, thinking all the years I've known him, over 20 years, every single moment we spent together, even today when we've been talking, is just filled with fun, laughter, and love. So, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the one and only hero, Mr. Jason Plato! Woohoo! Jaw open.
Internet's frozen.
Jason, how are you, buddy?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm great. I'm on good form. How about you?
I'm absolutely loving this lockdown nonsense. It's great, isn't it? I mean, I get to stay at home. I get to do this kind of stuff. I've cleaned the garden. I've done the paths with a jet washer, cleaned the cars, done a little bit of painting in the house. Michelle's had me doing all kinds of things. And then I've sort of gone through Netflix. I'm waiting for version 2 to come out. And then I'm going to do it all over again. It's bloody brilliant.
Yeah, right. I know. I'm enjoying it too.
Now,
we're lucky. We're lucky. We've got a bit of a garden and stuff, and we're not. There's lots of people out there who aren't having a nice time with it, but I don't mind it. Although I must admit, I've got 2 girls, 11 and 12. They're starting to get a bit bloody irritating now.
Michelle just poked her head round the corner because she's watching this on the other line. She just bought in my drink. So, cheers, Jace. Cheers. Here's to you.
What's that you've got there?
I've got a nice little cheeky Woodford. There you go. So Michelle just bought my drink and she went, has Jason been chained to a radiator? What's happened to him?
Mate, honestly, I've never had, ever. I mean, it's hard to believe this, but I've never had random women stop me and go, mate, love the beard. You're looking really handsome.
You are kidding.
Never, honestly. It happens. Well, it hasn't happened yet, but it's going to any day now.
Of course it will. It is a fantasy you're waiting to come true.
Honest to God, I've had lots of people go, well, mate, you should keep that beard. And I'm going to now. It's great.
I don't let it all go. Well, we've known each other so many years, and we know that if you have, can you hear me still? Yes,
I can.
So my microphone. It says that if you, we know that if you put stripes on your car, it makes it go faster. If you put stripes on the car, instantly you go faster. Yeah. But I've got a funny feeling if you put a beard on, it doesn't necessarily make you go faster, does it?
It won't make any difference.
What do you mean? It's going
to make me more attractive to the opposite sex. So that fancies me more now than she ever did. That's a good thing.
Really?
Yeah. And the colour, I've decided this is. I've called it chrome.
Yeah, I can see that. You look like an Audi grill at the front. That's what you look like, an Audi grill with chrome lipstick on. Right, Jace, let's do, because people out here, they just want to know about you. They don't want to know about me. It's all about you this evening. So we're just going to knock on through some of the things. Yeah, well, you're going to have to. That's the whole point of this. I'll tell you what you're going to have to. Let's just talk about...
It's after 9 o'clock? Or not?
It's not. No, it's watershed moment.
It's 9 o'clock somewhere, isn't it?
It is always 9 o'clock somewhere. It's 9 o'clock an hour ahead somewhere. If they're watching
where are you? Are you in the UK?
I'm in the UK, yeah. I'm here now. I'm in the same time zone as you.
Well, you could be one of the 6 mates we're allowed to have a cheeky G&T in the garden and a bit of social distancing.
Don't mind that. I'll be round. There is now a bubble. Apparently, the bubble I can come round if I'm a single person. And Michelle, we had earlier, we had an argument. And
I sleep in separate rooms to Soph, so technically I'm single.
That's what happens.
But no, I do. Honestly, it's great. It's great because I like to go to bed with the TV on. She wants to kill all the TVs in the house, hates them. She snores like a whale. Sorry, wrong way around. I snore like a whale, and it just works. So we meet in the marital bedroom where the big bed is. If it's that third Friday of every other month, then I might have a bit of a kiss and a cuddle, and then be right. I'm off for Netflix. I'll see you in the morning. I'm off to the next room. It was a treat.
It gets like that. Me and you are great advocates for marriage life out there, aren't we? Absolutely brilliant. Well, listen, Jace, let's quickly talk about, or not quickly. Let's just open this up a little bit about your racing career first of all, because your racing career. It's well over 25 years of top sport. Oh no, longer than that. Blimey, 40 years of top sport. But you've got the most wins of any touring car driver anywhere on the planet. 98 wins, and you've won 2 championships. So it started for you when you were a very young lad karting.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, I was 11 years old. My man was a motor dealer. He took a go-karting as a bad debt. Someone owed him a couple $100, and he said, "Well, I'll have that then." And he bought it. So him and his service manager at the BMW dealership he was running at the time. So that back in those days when on a Sunday everything was shut, petrol pumps were shut, most shops were shut, and they had an in and out to get into the forecourt. Well, that had a chain on either side, and they used to razz around the petrol pumps on a Sunday when the garage was shut. And then I managed to get my eyes on it and said, "Oh, can I have a go at that?" And don't want to bore everyone with the in between stuff, but we found a club and a circuit up in the northeast called Felton, and that became our thing. We had a little LT28 Volkswagen van in black with Jason Plato racing in yellow. And I can remember watching the sign writer who came around. He used to do all the coach lines on cars, to be a little old bloke with white hair. And he'd have a stick with a little ball on the end of it. He'd rest his hand on that and all these little brushes. And he painted it on by hand. It was amazing. And me and my old man built a partition. So all the carts and the stuff would go in the back. And then in the front bit, which was no bigger than a single bed, we had some foam cut. And then my mum would put a sheet over it. And then that's where me, my mum, my dad, and the dog slept when we went away for karting weekends. It was great.
Fantastic. Well, you progressed through karting quite quickly, and you ended up winning the karting championship, which then led on to, rather than driving something with no roof on it, you ended up going to drive for Williams in what was it, in the Renault Cup, was it, first of all? How did you progress from karting onwards?
Well, like all young lads, I wanted my sights were set on F1, and I did the Winfield Racing School in France at Magny-Cours, and did very well there. In fact, should have won it. I came second, but do you know what? If you won that, it was called a Pilote Elf competition. If you won that, then you got a fully paid drive with the works team in the French Formula Renault Championship the following year. And I got myself a deal in the UK series. And do you know what? It's not that I gave it away, but I didn't go after it because I didn't want to go and live in France.
Yeah.
Not to say that I didn't try hard, but I didn't want it badly enough. And I came second. And actually that was on hindsight, it was a big mistake, because had I been indoctrinated into the Renault Elf scheme, which I would have been, they probably could have got me to F1.
Right.
But anyway, like a lot of other drivers, ran out of cash, got to Formula 3, was highly rated, highly tipped, but just didn't have the money, didn't have the sponsors, and probably was a wrong sort of character for that era of motorsport when you had to be squeaky clean and a bit of a brown noser and certainly not colourful and a bit outspoken and a bit maverick like I am. So it just didn't work for me. It didn't work. So then I And then had a couple of years out of motorsport whilst I tried out of racing, whilst I tried to just find some more sponsors. And then I got a call from my good friends Renault, and they said, "Look, we got this Renault Spider series coming up, a new series. It's one make. Would you come and do it? Because first thing I said was, mate, no, I'd rather eat wasps. What do I want to do a one make series for? If I don't blitz everyone, then that's the end of me. And if I do blitz everyone will go, well, he should win anyway. But then they told me that the winner of this series, the inaugural series, would receive a test with Williams Renault in their touring car team. And also one of their drivers, Will Hoy, was out of contract at the end of that year. So actually, at that moment on, I went, oh, hello, this could be interesting. And that's what I did. And I won nearly every race. And I did the test with Williams, and that went well. Went for an interview with Frank. That was great. And you know what? Left there thinking, oh, I've got half a chance. Did a good job on the test. And then I got a phone call from Frank and a letter, actually, which I've still got, saying, look, Jace, you did a great job. We enjoyed you in the interview. We're great in the car. There is no drive, but don't feel bad, because actually there was never a drive, because we want someone that's got a profile, someone like an ex-Formula One driver, or possibly, an F1 test driver. So that's what we're going to do. And that didn't sit well.
No.
A couple of weeks later, I woke up absolutely full of rage and thought, I'm not having this. So in the car, I jumped and marched off down to Williams, and promptly got through security, because I'd met them a couple of weeks before. Got to the reception desk. Obviously, I'd charmed the two girls on reception. I said, look, can I say, hello, Jason, how are you? Yeah, good. Yeah, can I? Right, I've come to see Frank. Okay, right, have a seat. And I'm thinking, I'm in the building. Only for Nicola, his scary PA, to come down about 10, 15 minutes later and said, look, what are you doing? You can't just come off the streets and see Frank. You need an appointment. So I please, I just want 5 minutes. And we ended up in this row in reception. And it was going nowhere until she told me. And now she either did, I've not spoken to her since, actually, about this, and she's no longer there. She either let this gem of information out by accident, or it was on purpose. And I probably think it was the latter, actually. She said, look, you're wasting your time. He's not here till lunchtime. So Frank either lived upstairs in his apartment, or he was at home. The fact is, she said, look, he's not here till lunchtime. And now this was about 10 o'clock in the morning, 9:30, 10. I then, rather than keep fighting to win, I then could go, right, okay, I'm out of here, apologise, please let me know I've called. And then I just sat in the car park for 2.5 hours, moved my car, hid it underneath the tree, and waited for Frank to arrive.
Oh, I love it. Love it. So you chased after him once he arrived, chased him into the building, and then told him that you were pissed off.
Well, funny enough, I was sat underneath a tree I had a 1.6 in 90-day white Sierra.
Nice.
With noisy tappets. And it was a horrible shed of a thing.
1.6 grey velour.
Do you know what? It did have velour, actually.
Yeah, grey velour.
Well, it was a bit warm. I wouldn't have called it velour. It was like crushed velour. And I sat there and smoked myself to oblivion. I called my dad maybe a couple of times. I called Mike Knight, the guy who owned Winfield, who knew Frank, and said, look, what am I doing? Am I doing the right thing? And Mike said, Jace, I can't advise you. You mate, you do what you think is best. So, and my dad said, too right you are. You go and see him, son. So anyway, then the next thing, I see Frank's car come in with Hamish, his driver. And I'd met Hamish a couple of weeks before. And I still stay in touch with Hamish to this day. We were speaking just last week, actually. He doesn't live far from here. And I have to chase after the car. So I'm now out. I've got a briefcase, right, with nothing in it. And I'm running with a briefcase. Like, what am I doing that for? And literally, I've got a panic on now because I'm assuming he's going to park right in front of where the the little pathway is, where there's like some VIP visitor slots by the main entrance. But you drive past them. So now I've got a super panic on, like, there's a secret entrance. He's going round to a special thing around the back. So now I'm flat out and I'm running through their flower beds, right? I'm not making any of this up, flat out. And then he does like a U-turn just before, just the other side of the reception bit, into a parking bay. But it's one of those parking bays where it looks like grass, but it's like grasscrete. So you wouldn't know it was there unless you knew it was there.
Yeah.
and I'm like a full-blown run. And then I've realised, shit, I'm staring at Frank through the windscreen. And I'm now staring at Hamish. And I've now got to go from a Linford Christie-esque run with my briefcase to like a walk. And it looked normal. Well, obviously it never did it? But then I find myself like at the passenger window looking at Frank. And now I've gone, oh, shit. They've got to get him out of the car. So you got to lift him out. And you got to get a special wheelchair out. Oh, it was horrific. It was horrendous. And he's just looking at me.
Did you not only bring briefcase and offer him a sandwich or something?
No, there was nothing in it. There wasn't even any biscuits or anything. I should have put some like rich tea in there or something. You know what I mean? So then, they got him out there. But as Hamish got out the car, the other side, I looked up over the top of the roof at him. and just imagine, like Frank's looking at me at the window like that in the seat. And I'm looking at Frank and I'm like, oh dear. So now I then look at Hamish and he's got a look on his face, which is, it gave me comfort. It was a slight smirk, right? But it gave me comfort that, look, JP, we know you've been in the car park for 2 hours.
Yeah,
we know.
Yeah.
So anyway, then he lifts Frank out of the car. I can't remember exactly what happened because it's all a bit of a blur. But I can remember just saying, look, Frank, please give me 5 minutes of your time. He's like, Jason, I can't. I'm busy. You need to book an appointment. And they were Hamish was trying to wheel him towards reception, and I'm getting in the way. And they were like moving like this. And I begged and begged and begged and begged for 5 minutes. And then he gave in. He said, okay, yeah, all right, 5 minutes. And then we get into reception. And then next to reception, there's a little tiny lift, which is Frank's little private lift. Again, you wouldn't know it was there. I didn't know this thing was there. And as they got towards it, Hamish has pressed the button, doors are opened, and he's now reversing Frank in. And I'm looking at the girls on reception desk as Frank goes through the doors, and I've looked over and the two girls on reception desk are like, because I've beaten Nicola. I've got what, you know what I mean? They're all thinking, oh, good on that.
Thank them.
I'm in. And then the next thing is I've gone forward to get in the lift and looked and thought, oh, there's not enough room in there for a Hamish, Frank in the wheelchair. There's not enough room. And I hesitated. And then Frank said, I kid you not, ad verbatim, are you fucking coming or not? At which point I've then gone, oh, and I've walked in the lift. But Frank, I don't know if I can show you. Frank sat down. As I walked in, my knees, my shins are on his knees. I'm looking at Hamish, and Frank's head is like that far from my crutch. Right, but now I'm looking down on the top of Frank's head and looking at Hamish, thinking, "Oh man, this is just very surreal." Very surreal. Yeah. Anyway, the little stinker, he kept me outside his office for 40 minutes. That was a long 40 minutes.
40 minutes.
40 minutes, yeah.
So you've been there for hours by now. What, in the car park?
Yeah. I mean, panicking, thinking, am I doing the right thing? Anyway, Nicola then comes out and says, Frank, I'll see you now, and scowls at me because I've bypassed, the gatekeeper.
Yeah.
And anyway, she offers Frank a cup of tea and doesn't offer me anything, which I thought was ace. And then I've just, begged and pleaded and said, look, don't give it to a failed F1 driver. Give it to me because this is, it's like that for me and it's like that for
him.
And I said my piece, and he said, "Look, thanks for coming. Really appreciate what you've done, actually, but I've got to crack on, do one." But you know what? I left totally happy and content that I'd done all I could, and if it didn't work, if I didn't get the drive, that's salivate. That's me in motorsport over.
Yeah.
2 weeks later, got a phone call from Frank's office saying, "Right, there's a test next week at Snetterton between you, Gianni Morbidelli, and Jean-Christophe Bouillon. You'll get the same amount of time in the car. You'll get the same amount of new tyres. You get the same engineer. You'll run through the same program. Fastest man gets a job." There we are. That's what happened.
Fantastic. Fantastic. So you then start driving for Williams. I remember those days. That was in the, I think it's fair to call them super touring cars. It was the Renault Laguna, the Labatt's Renault Laguna. That was right, wasn't it? And that was amazing. Yeah, your teammate back then, was that Alain Menu?
Yeah, the best touring car driver in the world at that moment in time.
Yeah, best driver in the world at that time. You and, if I remember rightly, this is sort of when I come into your life, just a little bit after this. You and Alain didn't really rub up very well together, did you? You had a little bit of, there was a little bit of whose side of the garage is the team going to be on every week?
It was a bit of needle. I mean, Alain had a team in the Renault Spiders, and obviously we blew them apart. So there was always, and motor racing people at that level, drivers, we're all a bit odd and all a bit, highly competitive and political. And Alain was the best. I mean, ironically, I really have a good relationship with Alain now. We get on, but back in then it was pretty tough. And also, if I put myself in his shoes, here's this young, mavericky style, says what he says, young lad that comes in the team. In his first 3 races, he sticks it on pole and blows away his illustrious teammate. That's going to get up your back, isn't it?
Yeah. Can I just say, Jason, it echoes beautifully Charles Leclerc and Sebastian Vettel. Young upstart comes into a team, puts it on pole, wins races, and the old lion of the team is all of a sudden his nose has been sort of wiped out, pushed out of joint, and everyone in the team starts looking at that person. And I gather what happened with you. And
it did a bit, but to be fair to Alain, I literally, first 3 races, bang, pole. And it would be fair to say, me being me, it's almost like the Cuban heels I was wearing, they were just a bit too tall. Do you know what I mean? So I just took my eye off the ball a bit and was a bit kind of walking around too bouncy, and was enjoying quite large checks coming through the door, with fit birds throwing themselves at me, and it was lush. And he came back, and I'll tell you what, it took me a good few months to work out where those couple of tents were, and I couldn't find them. And then I started to overdrive a bit and try a bit too hard, and then got involved in a few shunts, and it all started to unravel. And then I was back in the shop window again. People were going, "Yeah, we were right. He shouldn't have had that drive." Yeah. But then I managed to get my stuff to get together, and then was on the pace and won a couple of races, and then at the end of the year, me and Alain did fall out because I had a chance to come second in the championship. He'd already won the thing, and we'd had a meeting with the team manager before there was only 2 races in a day back then, and I was lead, and the deal was, look, help JP. If he can get second in his debut year, mate, that's amazing. A win and a second for the team.
Yeah.
So I didn't think Alain was going to overtake, and I was looking after my tyres. I was driving at 99%, not protecting, and he just waited until he could just slam it down the inside, but in a part of the track where if I didn't defend and left the door open, which I did because I didn't expect him to overtake, I would then be on the marbles. I'd lose a load of time, and I'd slip back to 4th. So he properly had me over.
Yeah, that's bad. That's bad.
And anyway, I lost out by second by 1 point. But the last race of the year, this was the penultimate one, was me and him on the front of the grid. Well, of course, then no one was speaking. And it was, I mean, literally, we won by, me and him were 20-odd seconds up the road. And it was gladiatorial. And I ended up winning that race, which was a full gloves off, team orders,
Yeah.
And it was mega. I loved it. But yeah, I mean, those were great days. Great days.
It's fantastic, Jason. And it was around then I sort of stepped into your life, or you stepped into my life. I was already making this TV show called Driven, and I was making it. But in the early days, a lot of people don't know this. In the early days, it was me, James May, and Jason Barlow, and then we brought in once James May left. Because I'll be honest with you, he got fired because they didn't like him. They didn't think he was any good. So he did a season and they didn't rate very well. So they got rid of James and they brought in Penny Mallory. Yeah. And Jason Barlow, me and Penny Mallory hosted the show for another season. And it was during that year, Jason Barlow wanted to move on and become the editor of a magazine. And Penny's going, use my buddy, Jason Plato. He's amazing. Yeah. And you turned up one day. I'm just going to put this. I'll throw a picture up.
Well, I'll tell you where it was. It was at TRL.
It was at TRL. It was. You turned up one day.
Oh, mate! Look at your bonnet.
And it was just like we'd known each other forever. You turned up. We just hit it off absolutely immediately. We and played around. We had a laugh right from the very off. It was just absolutely brilliant. And that was it. They said the chemistry between...
Do you remember what happened on that TRL day? And it was a screen test. There was me, Richard Hammond.
Yeah.
You remember? And someone else. I forget who the third one was. But I knew it was already done. I knew it was in the bag. Or have I been drinking?
You've had a drink.
Look at our eyes.
Look how young we are. Look how young we are.
Mate, denim on denim.
Yeah, I'm wearing we are double denim. Both of us.
Double denimed up, son.
Double denim.
And I tell you what, that's in some little bar on the way down to Monaco over the Route Napoleon, isn't it?
It certainly is, Brian. You got such a good memory for all this stuff. I can't remember it. But no, I just remember what I do remember is we hit it off straight away, and we started on this adventure on the show Driven at the same time. Of you being at the top of your game in touring cars. You then moved to Vauxhall and you had a fantastic championship. You were a brilliant contender with Vauxhall. They certainly had the best car. Once you moved from super touring cars down to the smaller cars, they certainly had the best car, and they then had the best driver, which was you. And
and the others, mind. I mean, the Vauxhall team with my illustrious teammate Ivan couldn't they straight in bed Muller, and my drinking buddy James Thompson, and some fruitcake called Bennett.
And I just remember going to more or less every race those seasons. You know that seasons, but particularly 2001 when you won the championship. I remember going to the races, and the excitement at those races was just. It was not only that, by now you're a guy on the TV presenting this huge show on Channel 4. So we've got this sort of TV audience coming along to watch your race. And they were just brilliant days, absolutely brilliant days. And to crown it all, the last race of the season, in the pouring down with rain.
Horrific, wasn't it?
Me clutching onto Soph at that time.
Yeah.
Who was your new girlfriend at the time? Me clutching on the sofa, Michelle, watch it, and Tim and Lynn all clutching onto each other, watching you just pound it around the track and thinking, it's over, it's over, it's over. And I'm sorry I'm talking here, not you, but there was a moment when you hit the barrier, and I remember you hit the barrier.
I know.
And I remember you said, yes, you said to me, I knew I was going to hit the barrier. You had it in reverse before you hit the barrier and dropped the clutch because you sort of hit the barrier and just went backwards straight onto the track again. And the excitement of that race.
You get 3 points. You lose your license for reversing onto a road.
Yeah, you do. Well, you then went on to win that championship. And it was just the most amazing experience to be around it and to be with you at that time. That, you know, for you, winning your first championship must be like, you know, your first baby being born. It must have been amazing.
Do you know what? It was full of lots of mixed emotions because there was so much stuff going on behind the scenes, so much political fighting going on with Muller. I mean, I had my lawyers at the races, and so did he. I mean, it was ridiculous. And actually, I knew that I signed with Vauxhall at the end of '99 and did a 2000 and 2001 deal. And Ivan had got another year to go on his contract. And I knew we just simply couldn't work to get together within the team. So effectively, I got sacked. I won the championship and got sacked. So actually, I mean, can you catch your breath? But yeah. So actually, it was great to win it, it's bloody. It wasn't. Parts of it weren't a great experience, I have to say. Looking back, I'm glad that did happen because I learned a lot about myself actually, and also learned about people and who you think you can trust, you can't, and all those sorts of life experiences.
Yeah.
It was, but yeah, of course, your first championship is always a good one.
I remember the party after. I remember bits of the party after. I remember there were huge, great big flower pots in that Toka club thing.
Were we throwing them?
And I remember at some point, Jerry Marnie was in a flower pot up to his neck in whatever was in it.
Yes, I do remember that.
I just remember the chaos of the party after. It was
talking about parties. Now, this is a great story. I don't think I told this in the book. I did, but I think it got edited out. But anyway, my first year with Williams, and obviously I've done pretty well. I've ended up third in the championship. So the big prize giving at the end of the year, which I'd never been to a BTCC prize giving. It was at the breweries in London. And, three cars, the top three cars were on the stage. Steve Ryder was the host. I mean, it was mega. And I'd lined myself up a relatively new bird for that event. Relatively new. And anyway, we all got a bit out of shape. Everyone was drinking and this, that, and the other. And as soon as you collected your award, then you could really let loose. But I got going early. And anyway, the dance floor's all going off. And the dance floor, there was like one car right up on the top of the stage. And then my car was on the left of the stage, which that stage then turned into a dance floor. And then Beeler's car, Frank Beeler's Audi, was on the right-hand side. And I can remember saying to, my girlfriend, Bird at the time, do you want to get in the car? So, bear in mind, we're all like black tied. It's like the dance floor's full. Got her in the car, and I'm like, do you want to put the seatbelt? So I'll strap you up. So you can imagine where my mind was going. So next thing, I'm like, ooh, hello. I'm like trying, and then I'm just trying to hook a leg over, and then kid you not, and then I feel this. I've turned around, and it's Patrick Head looking through the windscreen. He's going, no. Yeah. So then had that awful kind of clamber out of shame out of the car.
I was almost just about to drop your microphone then.
Well, I know. I wouldn't say anything, obviously. I was only going over for a cuddle.
Of course you were. Of course you were. I've had one of those cuddles. They're lovely. Oh, absolutely brilliant. Well, we've certainly had some good times at parties. We won't mention some of the parties that we've experienced. I mean, there was the infamous event at the Grosvenor House when a certain Miss Penny Mallory fell off her chair backwards. No.
Do you remember that?
We won't mention it. I don't want to embarrass Penny. But she's out there. Penny, we love you. We love you, Penny. You're like a sister to us, and I'm going to have you on here. But yes, we can't repeat.
She went off the back of a chair, didn't she?
Went off the back of a chair. It was absolutely brilliant.
Do you remember? Because before I started to drive for Sept I got involved with Sept in 2002 to 2003 for a long time afterwards. And when we were doing Driven, the Sept Christmas parties were legendary amongst all the manufacturers. We used to get invited to all of them. And most of them they're all pretty good. But the Sept one was like free bar all night. And it's not just cheap, nasty beer a couple of glasses, a few little bottles of wines, whatever you want. And it's last man standing. We'll keep the bar open. And they were great, weren't they?
Amazing.
Well, then I started to drive for Sept and was in like the inner sanctum. Anyway, I reckon this was about 2004. And I love a practical joke, but do you remember when I'd set a rumor off and you were flying off to the States on a holiday and I'd set a rumor off knowing it would get back to you in minutes and said, look, I've done this trick on Mike, but don't tell him. I've slipped some laxative in his drink and he's on his way to Heathrow, direct from here, morning flight. And then it got back to you in like 10 minutes and you came up full of rage. What have you done? Well, Mike, sorry, Mike. And it was all make-believe, but you were convinced I'd laxatived you up.
I remember it so well because I'm going to just let in a little secret to that party. It's a very strange moment in my life. I remember that party ended up with a foam cannon spraying foam into the disco crowd, and there was lots of fancy dress hats being passed around. And I found myself at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, standing in Hammersmith with no shoes, one sock, a pair of jeans, no top, and a Viking helmet on, putting my thumb out for a taxi, freezing cold, no top on, no shoes. A taxi driver pulled over and he said, where to? And I was out near Croydon then, and I said, I need to get back to Surrey. And he said, that's a long way, And I said, well, it's worse than that. I've got no money. I had no money. I had no wallet, nothing. And he said, he looked at me shivering, freezing cold, and he said, you look like you're in trouble. Get in the cab. So I got in the cab, fell asleep. He woke me up when we got outside my house. I gave me the address. He woke me up when we got outside my house. I said, give me a minute. I'll wake Michelle up and I'll come down and pay you. And he went, no, mate, it's on me. Happy Christmas. I just thought, that's true. Black cab driver. Viking helmet, nothing else. That was me. Coming out of that bloody party. Next day, I had to fly to America. I just remember they were amazing days. Amazing days. We had so much fun. There's so many pictures that we've got to show. Look at us. Look how young we are. This one here at the bottom of the screen underneath me, that's us, me, you, and Penny on an aeroplane going somewhere, and we put the camera on the floor and took a picture.
Yeah, that's looking like EasyJet.
It is looking like EasyJet, yes.
Well, we never fly EasyJet.
No, not now. Not now. This is the advent of, probably the first time you see a camera on a mobile phone, and we were,
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, probably. Yeah. That's what, 2001?
2001.
Yeah, 2000.
So let's just push on then. So you've now won a championship. Me and you are making this amazing show, Driven Together. And then you jump between Vauxhall. You're now racing for Sept. It's fair to say although you never won the championship with Sept, I personally was, with you through that Sept career. I think you had more fun at Sept. You were definitely the number one driver. You were treated like a number one. It looked like to me you was enjoying it a lot more.
Yeah, do you know what? I realised, because I helped bring Sept into the series. Yeah. I presented the first year with Sept was 03, and I presented a show. It was like a real life competition called Racing Rivals, and it was about the Sept Cupra Challenge, and the winner of this series, this one mate series, was going to be my teammate in the European Touring Car Championship. And anyway, during the year, they decided that he wasn't going to be in Europe. It was going to be in the British series. And it was me and Nell McAndrew were presenting this show. And it was at the same time when I just joined Sept when I met Soph. Soph was working for Sept in the press department. And anyway, Rob Huff ended up winning the series, who then became my teammate. And, but I'd managed to get, I was like the epicenter of all their marketing, and it worked great. We had lots of fun. But, I can't remember how many times we came runner-up. In fact, I don't think in all the years I was with Sept, 5 years, we were never outside the top 3 in the championship, and we should have won some races. We should have won more championships, I should say.
Well, you should have won.
Stuff went wrong.
Yeah,
stuff broke.
Exactly. You should have won 5 championships. But I think and it's a psyche of Britain, because you just had this terrible run for 5 years of bad luck, and everyone in England loves an underdog. And I just remember going to the paddock at any race meeting with the Sept team, when you go to Brands, when you go to Silverstone, when you go to wherever it was, when you any race circuit you went to, and looked up and down the paddock at the autograph signing session desks when you're outside. They were all empty, but there were thousands of people waiting to get your autograph. And you weren't the guy winning.
Giving away fivers, to be fair.
Sorry?
I was giving away £5 notes, to be fair.
Yeah. I'm not saying, I know you probably embarrassed me saying this, but that's the truth. You weren't, because Great Britain loves an underdog, and everyone was rooting for Plato. It's Plato. The flags around every circuit was Plato and Say It. Everyone was walking around in yellow and grey hoodies on and baseball caps. It was Say It, Say It, Say It. And,
I agree with that a little bit, but I think it's more to do with the fact that I wasn't the homogenised, dull racing driver, which everyone else was trying to be. They were all trying to be carbon copies of plastic F1 drivers who don't say anything, who thank their team every 3-4 minutes and never say anything actually genuine. And I say it as it is. I'm slightly on the spectrum. I say slightly. I'm most certainly on the spectrum, and I've got no filter. So if I don't like something and a camera's shoved in my face, I'll say I don't like it. Yeah. And I think that captured people's imagination. And also, my style on the racetrack is pretty uncompromising. I'm there to win, and I'm there to win every race. And I'm not a bloke that goes, well, what third will do today? It's not me. So of course, there was all the fireworks around me. And I think that captured people's imagination. Obviously, that and my Italian looks.
Of course, your debonair look. It's fair to say
everything.
Everything, even when we were presenting Driven together, and it's being on a car show with 3 presenters that are doing 3 links and pulling in 3 cars, and you have to choreograph the whole thing is rather challenging. It's not as easy as you think. It's quite challenging.
Driven 100. Desirability, practicality, and
practicality, desirability, and cost of ownership.
Cost of ownership.
Time exposed to danger.
Do you remember that test? Time exposed to danger test.
And it's not easy to choreograph all of that and to get it together. And I remember even back then, although me and you would 9 times out of 10 turn up slightly hungover from a night before, and there's a picture to prove that. This is just one of our nights out in a hotel somewhere.
Look at you, loitering by the lift.
Yeah, look at me. I just remember, even then, you had this determination to win. You would not fail on a piece to camera. It was, or when we tested a car, the 3 of us together, you had this utter determination to win. I'm going to tell 2 stories, right, that will remind you and make you laugh. They're both at Longshot. One of them is we laid down some cones. I sat in the back of the car, you and Penny in the front.
Is this where you end up upside down?
They said to you, Jason, all we need is you to slide it through the cones and hit the brakes. It was an MPV. I can't remember what MPV it was. And of course, you hit the cones at God knows whatever speed. The engine was like it was going to blow up because it was revving so high. You then slammed on the brakes so hard, my seatbelt come undone. And when you hit the car, my seatbelt come undone. And I hit Penny's chair and went underneath Penny's chair and took it away. And you turned around as the car come to a halt, and I wasn't there anymore. I just wasn't there. I was under Penny's seat. I was in a ball under Penny's seat. That was just a mark of you. I'm like, no, they said take it easy, but no, you had to drive it.
Mate, if you're going to get wet, you may as well go swimming.
And there was another time at Longcross. Tell me if you remember this, right? They said, Mike and Jace, what we want you to do in the Audi TT convertible is we'd like you to drive up the tank track. We'd like you to drive up the tank track.
Yes.
Jason, if you could.
Was it not a 911?
No, it was a TT convertible. And they said, try and make it, Jason, just a little bit sporty when you come to the top. So you hit the tank track. This is a round, like a 45-degree angle with a curve at the top. The car went up and it grabbed a little bit of air. And when it grabbed a bit of air, the crew went, oh, Jace, that was really good, really good. We sort of got almost 4 wheels off the ground. Would you mind doing it again? And you try and grab a bit more air. So Jason drives back down into the big car park area, turns the car around. He looks across at me and says, make sure your seatbelt's tight. Now, Audi TTs have a lot of little sensors in them. And they're sensors that think, am I in a crash? Right? Am I in a crash? That's what the sensors say.
It was in a crash.
It was in a crash. Jason hit that so hard. We went up and out the top, full Dukes of Hazzard, and the whole car thought I'm in an accident, and the rollover hoops, bang! Everything, bang! Everything exploded in the car because it thought, I'm in a crash! I'm in a crash! And honestly, that was you again. I'm going, this guy just has got, it's like an on-off switch with you.
There's no volume. It's on, off.
Correct. Your number 11.
I do remember that.
They were brilliant days. Well, listen, we've got 10 minutes. So I just want to get through a couple of other things. We've got so many questions come in. Lots of them about your facial fund.
We can stay a bit longer. Sophie will getting the girls to bed in 10 minutes. It's quite good to miss that because they just kick off.
I just don't want to take up these good people's time. So that's what I always get worried about. Somebody's just said, look at this. This is John Scott. I think I just wet myself laughing.
He's wet himself. God, man, get a grip. Hey, but hold on. I just spotted one here. Zoe Taylor, loving the beard.
Oh, lovely. How about this one? Mark Oakley. I might give my wife a big hello, Mark Oakley and Diane Oakley. I promise I won't mention an MG Maestro Turbo again. Me and Jason probably drove one of those. Lots of people out there like Andy McKenzie saying this is just bloody fantastic. This one, this is for you, Jason. Jason, great to see you have your mojo back. Now you're
out of that shit box.
After such a great finish 2019, when are we going to get going in 2020? And that's a really good question, Jason. When are we going to get going in 2020?
Well, it's scheduled to all kick off again in August.
Behind closed doors, just
at the moment, behind closed doors.
Can they put all the teams?
To be honest, I'm not sure how I feel about it all, actually.
Yeah?
I think it would be better to just sack it off and let's go. 2020 doesn't happen. All the sponsorship, we'll roll it forward to 21. It allows the economy to, it allows everything to start repairing itself a little bit. And that's how I feel. And also, I spend the winter, relaxing and getting everything all back again, and then you wind yourself up for the year. So this is quite unusual. Well, of course, it's unusual, but to be in the summer and not wound up, to be totally horizontal. I don't know, and I think a lot of sponsorship deals are going bang as we speak, and I'm just worried that if we get going too soon, will it be the same without spectators? Okay, we still have the TV coverage, but I don't know. I'm not decided yet. I'm not decided.
Well, Jason, look, the audience out there will probably be terrified now because they're probably thinking, is that Jason sort of hanging up his racing gloves? And I hope
no, I'm not. I mean, if it's on, I'll be doing it because I'm contracted to. I'm just thinking, would it be better for everybody if we just said, right, come on, let's not race in the winter because we're going to be racing in November. Let's just push it forward. I don't think that will happen. I think we'll be racing again, but hopefully, hopefully we might be able to get some spectators back, before the end of the year. So no, I mean, I don't want to hang up big boots for sure.
Good. Well, John Aldred, Laguna or Sept, which was the best car?
Laguna,
yeah. Do you know, I think probably another little one that I can remind you of, we've got a few minutes, I can remind you of, was when you came back from, in fact, no, you phoned me from Australia. You were doing Bathurst. And you phoned me from Australia and you said, Brewer, you won't, you said, I come off the mountain, and as I'm coming off the mountain in this V8 touring car that is ridiculously dangerous and fast, I snatched sixth gear and it starts wheel spinning. And
in the wet, yeah.
Wet, you said it was terrifying. The whole thing.
Yeah, and I could not see the end of the bonnet. And you're going down the Conrod Straight, and you can't see where you are. You feel, because there's a couple of crests down the Conrod, and you're like fifth, and you just can't see. Sixth. And honestly, I was very nearly about to press the radio button and go, do you know what, lads? This is just ridiculous. And then, the rain stopped. Then there was a safety car, and the water started to wash away. Which then remains, I've just remembered a story. I was with, this was in 2000 actually. And my teammate was Ivan Muller, who I didn't get on very well with in the UK. And we were in a Works Holden car, the HRT, Holden Racing Team, like the factory team. And I was out doing my stint. And then at the end of my stint, pit stop. But before the pit stop, they said, look, we're double stinting you. Stay in the car, don't get out. So now, instead of spending 1 hour 15 in it, I'm in it for 2.5 hours, and these things are pretty hard to drive. Thankfully, it was wet, and then it would dry up and wet. But nevertheless, as soon as I got that call, and that call came about 10 minutes before the end of my first stint. I'm thinking, right, I need to drink a lot, and they've got a big water bottle. It's a big canister, which when you come for a pit stop, they fill it back up again. And I don't know what it is, a couple of litres. Well, I'm thinking, well, I just need to get this in me. So I'm drinking all this water, and I'm about 20 minutes into my second stint, and there's a big shunt. We're under yellows. We're coming down the Conrod Straight, and I'm thinking, I need a wee. I can't have a wee. And normally you don't think like that in the car because you're focused. But when the safety car, undo your belts, you relax a bit, and I'm like, and I know this is going to be like a lap or two by the time they clear it up, the mess. So I'm thinking, I've got another 45 minutes, 40, 45, 44, 45, which is another game. And I thought, I've just got to have a wee. So as we're going down the concert, I'm like, and I'm just weeing. And then I get to the chase, which is the left, right before the pit, and then they go pit. and now I'm like driving in the pit lane. I've got lots to do because you've got to reset stuff, unplug the aerial, stick it on the Velcro on your helmet, and I'm still weeing. And I'm like, so then I pull up to a box, and it's pandemonium on driver change. Guns going off, wheels in it. I mean, it's bonkers, and I'm out. And the last three things I do. I leave my teammate Ivan Muller into the car. He then does the crutch straps and the lap straps. I then chuck that one, his shoulder strap, but that one down that side. He then holds it, clips it in, and then this one, I do that. And so I click that in, and then I've gone to get the curly cord, the radio curly cord, which is Velcroed off his helmet. I then grab that and plug it into the seat as I'm going back to close the door. And as I've gone for the helmet, his head's turned round, looking at me, and he's got this look of horror because obviously he's now realised he's sat in basically a bucket of pee. And they're bucket seats, and there's no hold to. And as as I'm putting the radio thing into the seat, I can see his eyes, and now I'm laughing. I'm laughing, and as I've slammed the car door, I'm literally tears. I've run over to what we call the Pratt perch, which is where all the engineers stand, and they're looking at monitors and all the telemetry. Meanwhile, off goes the car, and then I plug into the side of the Pratt perch and then tell my teammate what roll bar settings I've been using, what the evolution of the car is like during the run. And as I've clicked in, Van's on the radio, and I've caught the tail end of mid flow, and it's the dirty English bastards pitched his car. And I can't speak for nearly a lap. And I keep trying to speak to him, and he wouldn't speak to me for days. He wouldn't speak to me. So and it was just energy drink. I mean, it wasn't urine. It was literally just energy drink in, energy drink out.
So he had to do the race at your piss.
He was sat in a bucket in my way for 1 hour 15 minutes.
That is just bloody brilliant, Jason. That's brilliant. Yeah. God,
I
said every time we get together and talk is just filled with laughter and joy and tears streaming down my face. Absolutely brilliant, Jason. All those stories that you've told and more are written in this fabulous book.
So there's a lot of them in there. There's a lot which haven't made the cut, only because they said, look, you can only have 350 pages. And we ended up after draft 1 of 1,200 pages. So we got loads of other material, maybe from another book, who knows? But that is funny.
It is funny as hell. And it's how not to be a professional racing driver. Available in all the bookstores, Jason, and now on paperback, yeah?
It's just come out on paperback, yeah. Just come out on paperback. In fact, amusingly enough, because I'm not an author, and I did get some help. Absolutely got some help off a great bloke called James Hogg. But we've just been up on the screen now. Actually, we've just been nominated for Sports Autobiography of the Year, and there's 6 contenders, and we'll find out in September who's won it. But how touched am I to be in the company of those?
Well, listen, I'm asking the audience if there's an online thing that you can go to vote for your autobiography of the year. I don't want to upset Tyson Fury. Because
he's the one person out of probably everyone on the planet.
And I certainly don't want to. Ben Stokes walks around with a bat in his hand, so I don't want to upset him either. But if you get a chance and you can vote for Jason, then please.
Do you know what? I don't know if they can actually. I don't know. I mean, if it is a votable thing, then obviously it'd be ace. But I'm not thinking. I mean, we ain't going to win. It's just nice to be in it.
Of course it is. Of course it is. Against some amazing names, including Tyson Fury.
Yeah. I tell you what, though. I bet I'd hammer him at swing ball.
I bet you would. Of course you would. Or smoking and drinking. So, Jason, before we go and sign off, you're also venturing into another little business. You're going to be doing your own podcast, we understand.
Yes. Funny enough. Do you know what? We just sat at home with not a lot to do, and I mean, you'll remember Comedy Day from the Moyles breakfast show. Well, I've been friends with Comedy Day for some time, and we're just kicking some ideas around. And we said, look, why don't we do a little podcast? And we'll try and get some of my, some mates that I've got to know over the years who are not in the motoring game, they're not in the racing game, and they come from all different walks of life, but they love cars. Let's get some proper car nutters who are successful people in their own right in whatever field it may be, and let's just talk cars.
Jamie Oliver, all those people that are mad on cars that are in the public eye.
James Martin's going to do it. I think Ricky Wilson's going to do it from the Kaiser Chiefs.
Lovely.
We've got Sir Chris Hoy, Susie Perry.
Brilliant.
You know, loads. Obviously, we'd ask you, but mate, you're too carry. You're global car superstar. We can't have you.
You can.
But one of the questions.
Once you get bored of all the other ones, you're going to be on the phone to me anyway.
Obviously, yes. Obviously. But we're doing it in association with Adrian Flux Insurance, one of my long-term sponsors. And we've had a few little, you know, kind of like production meetings about, right, what, you know, there's obviously got to be like a spine to the show. We need to ask certain questions. And I said, right, one of the questions I want to ask all the guests are, I want to know when, how old you were, where it was, where in the country, her name, first time you had action in a car. And literally there was silence in the room. They went, what? I said, yeah, that's a great question. When did you have your first bit of hanky panky in the car? Where was it?
That's a great question. I think that'd be brilliant.
But I'll try and winkle it in.
That'd be brilliant. I think I'm really looking forward to it. So we got to look out for that. What's it going to be called, Jason?
It's going to be called Fueling Around.
Fueling Around. Brilliant title.
So hold on, let me just check I've got that right. I think it's Fueling Around. Hold on, I'm just going to. Hold on. I might have got that wrong. Fueling Around. I've got it right.
Yeah, that's a great title. I was going to say otherwise I'm nicking that. That'd be brilliant. Jason, we have to let these people.
I've even got a trail here.
Have you?
Yeah. Let's see if we can. Yeah, let's see if it'll come through. I'm sure it will do. I'll drag my studio mic down next to the speaker. Hold on. Where's it gone? Dave Vitti. Here he is. Dave Vitti. Here he is. Promo trailer. Here it is. We've got it. It's here.
Play it. Listen.
Preview.
Hello, I'm Jason Plato, professional racing car driver, bloke off the telly, an all-round petrol head, and along with my good old mate Dave Vitti, hello, we've got a brand new shiny podcast coming this summer called Fueling Around.
And it's perfect for anybody who's into their cars, as we'll be talking first cars, dream cars, new cars, old cars, best cars, worst cars, and even toy cars. And we'll be getting a few famous car-loving friends in the passenger seat along the way to tell us all about their own personal love affair with the motor car.
So make sure you subscribe now and listen out for us fueling around later this summer on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your pod things from.
Absolutely. That'd be brilliant, Jason. Oh, well, how good is that? If I'm not a guest on there, I'll be bloody angry. So make sure you have me on as a guest. Jason.
Mate, I'm upstairs in the annex, all right, and we moved away from here we moved away from our Oxford home for schools for the girls, and then when all the crazy lockdown thing came, I went, I'm not paying rent down there, and the kids are not at school. Let's get back to our old gaff. So we've come back in, right? We're really enjoying it. But I'm looking at so this used to be my office up here. And then we turned it into like a little bit of a granny flat and stuff, put a kitchen and stuff in. But that room through there, that's the room of frustration. Because that's where the sim is, right? My simulator. Where honestly, the language normally in there is just horrific. But I'm now just caught sight of the back of shots, and I'm looking at your bookcase and look at mine.
I'll send you some. That goes on and on. Look at mine. That goes on and on and on.
I need to dress that up a bit, don't I?
You do. I always have a saying, right? So I have a saying to audiences when they say, how do I buy a car? What's the best car to buy? How do I do it? I always tell them, I say, look, before you go and buy yourself a classic car and jump into that world, fill your library before you fill your garage. And that is what I've done. I've got a huge, great big library here behind me, and books that I pluck from. And whenever I'm
trying to study a car or think about a car, I pull a book and I read about it and I ingest it, so I know exactly what I'm looking at when I go to see it.
Very impressive.
Jason, it's nice to know that your library is full behind you.
I know my library's in the house actually, because that's where my proper study is in the house.
Of course.
I'll send you a picture and you can post up.
You post up a picture of your library. Jason Plato, this has been the highlight of all of this. I've absolutely loved it. And I hope you've enjoyed it. It's been
great. I mean, I'm happy to go for another half an hour, but I mean,
but we have to let these people get off to Netflix. If you want to
look, I'm looking down the side. They're all on the lash. They're drinking pints of beer.
Of course they are. So if people want to find you on social media, Jason, on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, how can they find you?
Oh, mate, I do the Twitter. I don't do the other ones. It's too.
The Twitter is at Jason Plato.
Yeah, at Jason Plato on Twitter. I mean, I've got an Instagram account, but oh man, there's just too much going on.
There is too much going on. So go and follow Jason there. Look out for the nomination for the Book Awards. If you do get a chance to have a shout about that, please do. Make sure you buy a copy of Jason's book, How Not to Be a...
Or even still, the audio book. Mate, 3 days in a studio in London reading it. God, it was hard work, but really great to do.
That's a brilliant thing to have in the car, isn't it? When you're driving along, listening to the audio book, absolutely brilliant. If you've got a comment, please post it in the comments below, and I'll get to them and read them. Thank you to the thousands of people that have joined in tonight. Me and Jason really do appreciate it. It's been a fantastic friendship that's gone on for over 20 years. Long may it continue. Once lockdown is over, I'm going to come around with a shaver and get that off your face.
No, mate, you're not. You're not. Honestly, this is staying. I'm loving this, and I'm looking at the comments, thinking, "Hello, ladies."
Hello, ladies. Hello, ladies.
You know what? I do like, because I've got quite a proboscis on me.
Yes,
and
I know
actually it's effects from the. I
used to have a little thing when I used to hang around Jason. I used to fake a fainting session when I was near him and say that he's stolen all the oxygen because he's proboscis. What's up, Mike? Jason's got all the oxygen.
He's inhaled. He's taking all the oxygen.
He's taking all the oxygen. I think we could do a part 2 to this interview quite easily. Jason, we love you. Thank you very much for joining us online tonight. Thank you very much to the brilliant audience. Mish is here. I'm going to play us out, Jason, and then I'm going to.
I want to say hi to Mish. Mish, come in front of the lens.
I'm just going to play the audience out first, and then you can say goodbye to Mish. Mish is not.
How's the veganism going?
No, let's not go there yet. I'm just going to play Jason out. I'm just going to mute your mic. Thank you, Jason. I'm going to mute my microphone. I'm going to play us out. And listen, ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for joining the Mike Brewer Live Show. Loved every minute of this week. And let's do it all again next week when I'll have another guest, which I'll announce in the week.